Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Dark and Darker News Network. I'm here today to put your mind at rest with my absolutely based opinions about this Nexon lawsuit. Close ranks because Nexon laid off their lead director from a game, and then most of the employees that were working on that project quit, and together they formed a new studio known as Ironmace. So here's a visual representation of what actually happened during the meeting when Mr. A, the lead director on Project P3, was fired.
Get the fuck off! You think I'm playing games, man? Hey, I'm fucking somebody else. Hey! What the fuck is this?
First, we're going to go over some actual facts, and then we're going to lead into my opinion about how I feel about those things. Yesterday morning, on March 8th in Korea, a security investigation unit from the police department around the city of
경기도
obtained a warrant to authorize the search and seizure of data and files from Ironmace's headquarters. This is a continuation of the case that Nexon has been building since 2021 in regards to certain allegations of data theft and an intellectual property dispute, which have been vaguely umbrellaed under the newly formed Unfair Competition Prevention Act inside of South Korea. Now, this law is pretty vague, and so we don't actually know what Nexon is going for in regards to either monetary damages, or they're just trying to target a specific employee for criminal actions like, going to jail for a couple months or what have you. Now, this all stems from the issue that former employees of Nexon, including the founder of Ironmace, were all working on this Project P3 together. In fact, the current CEO of Ironmace, Mr. A, was the former lead director of Project P3, and he was fired for disciplinary actions, including leaking assets to outside sources. Only 2 months after being fired from Nexon, he helped to found Ironmace and become its chief executive officer. The similarities between Project P3 and Dark and Darker, especially when displayed side by side, are actually very obvious. However, being similar to something does not equate to an infringement of copyrights or intellectual property theft. In fact, the majority of assets from Dark and Darker have been created from scratch in Unreal Engine 5, or they've been bought on the Unreal Marketplace. Ironmace already had their files and data seized in a similar warrant that was carried out by the Southern Provincial Police Department back in 2021. The district prosecutor who's in charge of the case that Nexon has brought against Ironmace or one of their employees actually returned that case back to the Southern Province due to a lack of evidence. The prosecutor required a supplemental investigation to be carried out in order to accompany the evidence they'd already gathered if it was to move forward in court. That brings us pretty close to current on all of the Dark and Darker drama. It should be noted that if there wasn't enough evidence in 2021 when they seized all the assets of Ironmace right after it had been created, there certainly won't be enough evidence to proceed now. The devs already said that the police came and it was all rather pleasant, and they didn't even stay for very long. So here's a visual representation of that police search and seizure from yesterday. Dark and Darker has grown massively popular since 2021, going from about 300 users during the internal friends and family tests to about 2 million in the most recent playtest number 4 in February. Additionally, when a huge portion of your developers quit and found their own indie studio, especially if that studio is successful, your shareholders are going to want to see some actionable things taking place. Now, Ironmace has publicly stated that the allegations and warrants brought against it will not affect the upcoming playtest number 5, and having essentially already defeated the previous lawsuit claim in 2021, and explicitly stating that the lawsuit targets an individual employee rather than the company, we can be pretty confident that business will continue as usual. This has been our first news story with the Dark and Darker News Network, so let me know what you thought down below in the comments section and how you're feeling about my hot takes. I'll see you for the next one.